Hi for another Sketch to Scrap Saturday video. So for today I've got this sketch for you which has a few photos. So in total there are 5 photos and they're kind of varying in size. So the biggest one is 2 inches by 3 inches. And then those mini ones are just smaller ones that I think one of them is 1.5 times 2 inches, and the rest is just a little bit smaller than that. So I printed all the photos out onto one 4x6, and I've used an app called, I think, PicFrame. And so essentially just to make sure that the big one is 2.5 and then the rest just fit in kind of just slightly smaller. And I think it's one of those sketches that it doesn't really matter how big your photos are, as long as they kind of look proportional to the actual, you know, the background itself, which is 12 by 12. And I think this one will work quite well on an 8.5 times 11 size as well. So just in case you're interested or you prefer to do that in 8.5 times 11 rather than 12 by 12, which is what I'm doing there. And it's gonna be, I'm gonna use a white background, and there's pen paper matte at the back, and then the title goes on the right of the photo, and then also just some journaling underneath it as well. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to point out is that I'm going to be using at the Hip Kit Club's October kit the Scrapbook kit from October 2016, Elliot Wood's story kits as well as stamp, and also Felicity Jane Maggie kit as well. So the first thing we're doing here is I'm just cutting up the pen paper, which I've chosen from the Maggie kit. So I'm just pulling that one out now, and I'm using this one, which is kind of a black and white pattern. And the good thing about Felicity Jane's pattern paper is that you get this kind of strip, the branding strip, that are usually quite useful, and you'll see in a second when I use it. But what I'm doing here is I'm also trimming the white background into just a little bit smaller than 12 by 12. And then what I'm trying to do here is I'm using the crocodile tool to punch a hole, and then just an eyelet and a brad to make sure that the curl portion is kind of held together, I guess. And then I'm just going to stick that down onto that pattern paper. And the reason I'm kind of folding that out is mainly because I want the pattern paper to show a little bit more, and also just add a bit of dimension onto the page as well. And I'm just arranging the photos that I am going to be using, and all these photos are from a trip we went a couple of weeks ago. We went to the National Gallery of Australia, so that was in Canberra, and there was a special exhibition that came from the British Museum. So it was like, I think it says history of the world in 100 objects, and there were really like amazing pieces there, like from, you know, kind of pyramid type, you know, coffins from the kind of mummy era to like all the, you know, coins from, you know, 3,000 years ago and those kind of things. It's amazing. And so I'm arranging those photos. I'm also using this strip of paper, which is actually from the same pattern paper. It's just the branding strip that you get with that pattern paper. And so I attach that on the top just to kind of counterbalance the I guess the portion down the bottom, the pin up area there. And now I'm also picking out a tag, which is from the Stuff Story kit from Elliot Wood's, and I decided to go with this one, which says this one. And now I'm just kind of sticking that down. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to adhere down all the photos as well. And I'm kind of just arranging all the photos in a way that kind of cluster together into almost a kind of an organic shape a little bit, so it's not, you know, a square or anything like that. I quite like the fact that they're not all kind of in one line together. So, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the title. So what you see is that this page is actually quite a simple page. And so I'm just kind of keeping everything simple. There's many photos and I want the photos to be the focus of the page. And so these stickers are actually from the Hip Kit Club's scrapbook kit from October 2016. And so so you get quite a few of them, and they're kind of puffy stickers. And the colours go quite well with the strip of kind of orange pattern there on the left, the scallop printed area there, the printed pattern paper there. And so I'm just lining up. So the title I'm going to use is Day at a Museum rather than Night at a Museum, just to play on that movie title there. And so that is all I'm going to do with those stickers. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some kind of stamping onto the page. And I'm using this stamp, which is from the Up stamp set from Edwards. And I'm also using this ink pad, which is from Edwards as well. And it's called Crafters Ink. And I think the colour itself is actually called Olympia. So it's kind of lightish green colour. And so I'm just stamping onto a blank piece of white cardstock. So it's essentially the same as the cardstock I'm using on the actual page there. And now I'm just fuzzy cutting that out to see whether I like it. And I'm just kind of slowly fuzzy cutting it out. And the stamp itself actually says, here we go. So I think that's pretty cool. And the story of that day was, it's kind of interesting because we went to the museum. We thought we were just going to go to a normal exhibition, but we decided to go to this special one. We had to pay extra, but I thought, Andrew really wanted to go, so if my partner really wanted to go in there, so that's why we went in. While I was talking there, I decided to stamp directly onto the page itself, just mainly because I thought it looks quite nice, and you know, I want to kind of stamp it multiple times, and that's exactly what I did. So I stamped once and then twice without inking, re-inking the stamp itself. And now I'm just going through trying to embellish the page, and I decided to pick out a few items here, and this one is actually from the Dear Lizzie, I think Saturday line. So it's from her ephemera pack, and the pack itself actually came with the Hip Kit Club's October 2016 scrapbook kit as well. And so I picked out that scarlet kind of gold piece there, and I'm also picking out another piece, which is this ticket here, and I was just thinking where I want to add it. Decided to add it underneath that stamp image there. So I cut the ticket in half, and then I stapled it down using tiny attacher, and then I stuck that down underneath the stamp image there. And the next thing I'm doing here is just adding some journaling. So I talked about how we went to this exhibition at the NGA, so National Gallery of Australia, and the exhibition itself came from the British Museum, and we saw some really, really interesting stuff there, some really, really old stuff. And we were amazed at how many things were there, and how essentially invaluable they were, and we got to see them. So I thought it was amazing. And I decided to also outline the stamp, the actual printed image, which says this one that's already on the tag itself. And I believe the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to using a date stamp to stamp underneath the title there. And I believe what I'm doing now is just going through my phone, just trying to work out the exact date that we went. And I'm just using the royal date stamp I've got in my stash. And I'm just using the same ink as before, the Crafters ink or Olympia. And that is essentially it, you guys. So here is the sketch once again. If you want to download the sketch or see it a bit longer, I will put it on my blog at evescrapbreak.wordpress.com just in case you're interested in looking at it again. And here's some close-up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed it. And if you want YouTube to let you know when my next video comes out, please subscribe, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!